Hi, my name is Caroline. Welcome along to the channel. I'm a lecturer in physics here in the UK. So I teach and I work and I research at a UK university. Today, I thought we could do a video about waiting. I don't know whether you like waiting, whether you really hate waiting, but I found in my academic career and working in industry, there are definitely periods of time when I just have to wait. So, I might be waiting to hear about my conference paper, whether it got accepted. I might be waiting to hear if a research grant is going to fund me. I could be waiting to hear if I've been accepted into a society. And if you're a student right now, you might be waiting to have your exam results come back. And definitely I find waiting easier and harder depending on the situation. So if I've just written a journal paper draft, and I've sent it off to the paper to be reviewed by the editor and the referees, actually, I find waiting in that situation okay. I don't mind waiting however long it takes for them to review it, as long as it's not too long. But typically, I don't mind taking the time to wait for them to review it because it's an item off my to-do list. Waiting to find out if I've got a research grant, that's a bit tougher. If I get funding for a particular piece of research, that can shape how the year ahead will look. It might affect how many students I can offer projects to. Waiting to hear about research funding, I think can be a bit tougher. I suspect one of the most nerve-wracking situations to wait is if you're wondering if you're going to pass something or get a particular result, or if you're waiting to hear if you've won an award or got promoted. In that situation, waiting can be quite nerve-wracking. So if I'm waiting to find out some results that are important to me, if I'm feeling particularly apprehensive or concerned or want to take control of the situation, I'll try to do something whilst I'm waiting that makes me feel in control. So if I'm waiting, say, for exam results, what I used to do was I used to make a plan of what I would do depending on what the result came back as. So my plan would have the best case scenario and the worst case scenario and all ones in between, and I would map out the decision processing I would go through depending on the result that I was going to be given. And that actually let me have a feeling of control and kind of ownership over the process. So although I was having to wait, because I was doing an activity that let me plan for the future, and because that activity then made me feel in control of the situation, and that actually, no matter what grade came back or what my result was going to be, I'd have a strategy for coping with it, that made waiting that little bit easier. So that was definitely something I did when I was a student. I don't do it so much these days as an academic lecturer. I'm sure there'll be situations in the future where I'll try to plan out different routes based on whether I get something awarded to me or not awarded to me. But that always definitely used to help me. And then the classic one, distracting myself, used to help. So I'm keen on horse riding, so I used to go down to the stables and help out with the horses and go for a ride. That was always a really good distracting technique. There's something about being on a horse when you're galloping along that means you can't really think or worry about many other things. I used to do a lot of rowing as well. That was a good distraction technique. Right now, with the global pandemic and the horrible COVID situation, it can be tougher to find activities to go and do. So maybe it's just a walk in the fresh air. Maybe it's just sitting outside somewhere, sitting outside in the garden. Maybe it's doing your online shopping, which is something over the recent weeks I've become quite good at doing more online shopping for food and essentials and going to collect it from a shop. But all of those things you can use to distract you from then worrying about anything whilst you're in a kind of a waiting period for something. And the other thing I used to do if I was waiting, and I read this somewhere, I think it was a magazine, it said if you're waiting for something and you're concerned about it or you're worried about it, rather than thinking about it all the time, set yourself a time when you're going to think about it, and that is your time that you're going to allow yourself to ponder over it, maybe to allow yourself to think about the outcomes and what you're going to do and how things might turn out. And you allow yourself an allotted time to think about it, and then when that time is up, you then go off and you do something else. And the paper was saying that by doing that, you're giving your brain a point in time when it knows it's going to be allowed to think about the situation, to think about the impending results, to think about the outcome of your project grant. And because you've given it that point in time, you can then stop thinking about it right where you are immediately because you know you're going to think about it in the future. And then when you get to that future point in time, you may or may not want to think about it, but it can help you kind of relax about the situation. But I guess, we each wait in different ways. You might find waiting not a problem, and you might be a really patient person and waiting comes really easily to you. Or maybe you really don't like waiting at all and you just want to know the outcome and the results or whatever it is that you're waiting for right then. So if you're waiting right now for whatever it is that you're waiting for, I hope some of these kind of ideas or tactics or suggestions kind of help you as you go through that waiting period. Love to know any of your thoughts, so any of your ideas or what you get up to when you're waiting for something. What do you do to distract yourself or take your mind off whatever it is that you're waiting for? Drop it in the comments because it's really good to share ideas. But yeah, waiting is just tricky. Waiting is one of those things that's just tricky. And I thought it was worth talking about today. And actually, if you like the video or subscribe to the video, you're going to have to wait a few days until my next one, which is a really bad link. So I post every Monday and Thursday, so I'll be back next week with another video. So I hope you don't mind waiting for a few days. Look after yourself, keep taking care of yourselves wherever you are around the world, and I will see you on Monday. Bye!